Okay, seriously, what the hell is going on with this film? Jamie Foxx is confirmed to be back as Electro. Alfred Molina is confirmed to be back as Doctor Octopus. There are rumors that Charlie Cox as Daredevil is going to appear. There are rumors that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to appear. Like, what the hell is going on? So right off the bat, I just want to say I would have made this video a lot sooner had I not been waiting for an official announcement by Sony, because apparently it was reported that Sony executives said that we would see our first look at Spider-Man 3 in December. And December came and went by, and no Spider-Man news. So, yeah, I'm making the video now. Also, Happy New Year. But yeah, like, what is going on with Spider-Man 3? Like, the casting, the rumors, the official announcements, like, this movie is either going to be, like, the best thing ever, or it's going to be the best worst mess of all time. Like, there's so much stuff that's just been announced and, like, in the rumor mill, like, oh my god. Okay, so let's address what we officially know. 1. Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. Now, he said that he's coming back as a different version of Electro. He won't be blue, but with the other rumors circulating around, it does seem like he might be coming back as the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro, but with a slightly different look. And personally, I don't mind if he's either the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro or if he's just a completely different version of Electro, because I like Jamie Foxx as an actor. I think he's really good. I enjoyed him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I didn't like his Max Dillon very much, but when he actually became Electro, I enjoyed his presence on screen. So if he's coming back as, like, Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'll be happy with that. And if it's the MCU just reinventing Electro, you know, taking Jamie Foxx, who was a previous casting, and now just, you know, making him the MCU Electro, I'm perfectly fine with that. 2. Alfred Molina's coming back as Dr. Octopus. And, like, that was so bizarre to me. When that officially came out, as reported news, I was like, hold on, this is official? Alfred Molina's back? I mean, first of all, I was ecstatic because...
Oh, Rosie, I love this boy.
But I was also skeptical at the same time, because if this isn't the MCU version of Dr. Octopus, and it is the Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2, I don't know how I feel about that, because 1, he's dead, and 2, that kind of just ruins his whole character arc in Spider-Man 2, doesn't it? Like, he starts off as a scientist who wants to save the world, his wife dies, he gets manipulated by the arms and becomes a criminal. And then by the end, Peter talks him down, and, you know, Dr. Octopus, you know, comes back into his own real consciousness, and he's just like, I have to destroy what I'm about to do, because what I'm about to do is not for the good of mankind. And he sacrifices himself. And so by bringing him back and making him evil, that just goes against everything Spider-Man 2 is about. I mean, it's not to say that I don't want to see Alfred Molina back as Dr. Octopus, because, I mean, he's a fantastic casting for Dr. Octopus. In Spider-Man 2, he's not comic book Dr. Octopus, he's a reinvention, but he's a fantastic reinvention. And he's also one of the great comic book villains. But, you know, you have people going, oh, Alfred Molina is the best Dr. Octopus, he's the definitive version. I'm like, no, he isn't. Spectacular Spider-Man is the definitive version, because Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus is very good, but he's also very human, and he's not very temperamental like comic book Dr. Octopus. And Spectacular Spider-Man, I think, blends the two together quite well, where you feel bad for him initially, but when he actually becomes Dr. Octopus, the dude is just crazy and unhinged, and he hates Spider-Man, and whenever Spider-Man appears and starts taking the mick out of him, he gets angry so quickly, like his temper just snaps, and he hates Spider-Man, and I'm like, that's Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus is clever, but whenever Spider-Man gets into the room, he gets pissed off, because Spider-Man just gets on his nerves. We also know that Tom Holland is currently filming Spider-Man 3, and he's wearing the red and black suit from Far From Home, which I'm not a fan of. Like, I know everybody else on the planet loves that suit, but I just don't like it that much. To me, it's like the lesser version of the Stark suit from Homecoming, except for it's black now. He doesn't have the red arm stripe. He has the Miles Morales looking gloves. He has a white outline on the edge of his spider, and then he has a white back spider as well. Like, that is such a weird design choice to me. It's like, Spider-Man PS4 came out, everyone loved the advanced suit, so the MCU and Sony were just like, okay, let's make his new suit have elements of the advanced suit by putting white on it. But it wasn't strategically white, it's just they put white in random spots, and I'm like, this doesn't look very nice. Also, call me a traditionalist, but I am just a stickler for the red and blue Spider-Man. Like, to me, the Romita Sr., the Steve Ditko Spider-Man, that is, like, the definitive Spider-Man look. I'm honestly just praying to God that, like, he gets a new red and blue suit, or he just goes back to the Stark suit, because just, I can't handle that black. I don't like it. But yeah, let's talk about some of the crazy rumors because there's like so many going on. So let's get the big guns out of the way. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are rumored to appear, but they're only rumored to appear in the third act, which I think is weird because if you're gonna do a live action Spider-Verse with all three cinematic Spider-Men, you'd want them to appear earlier into the film so you could actually explore the differences between all three of them. And I won't lie, I do feel slightly bad for Tom Holland because you'd at least expect him to finish out his trilogy before they attempted to do a Spider-Verse film in live action. But if the rumors are true and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield do appear in the third act of this movie, then it kind of takes away the attention from Tom Holland and sort of just focuses on Tobey and Andrew. Because I'm just going to be honest here, but I think Tobey and Andrew are just better Spider-Man. I don't hate Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I just think he's really underdeveloped and they treat him like an actual child. No disrespect to Tom Holland, seriously, I really like Tom Holland as an actor. My love for MCU Spider-Man has diminished significantly since Far From Home. Like, there is enjoyment to be had with that film, but me personally, as a Spider-Man story, I think it's very thin, it's very weak, the comedy in that film is just very forced and to me, not as funny as Homecoming. So I think Homecoming has this charm of a 1980s film. And it seemed like they tried to do that with Far From Home, but instead of it being well written like Homecoming, it just falls very flat a lot of the time and it makes characters come across as really stupid. And I just don't like the way that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is written after Homecoming. I like him fine in Infinity War and Endgame he's okay, but he doesn't have much screen time. But in Far From Home, he just acts like a baby.
Yeah, I can help! Let me help! I'm really strong and I'm sticky!
Okay, maybe baby's going a little bit too far, but he acts like a child. I know he's supposed to be 15, 16, but he doesn't act like a 15, 16-year-old. He acts like a 10-year-old. He says really weird things where you go, that's not a teenager talking, that's a child. I also really don't like that Far From Home just feels like a filler movie, and they basically recycle his arc from Homecoming, but they repaint it in a way that makes it look like, oh, we've done a completely different arc, but you haven't, you've done the same thing. In Homecoming, he learns he doesn't need to be an Avenger, and he doesn't need technology to be Spider-Man. And in Far From Home, Peter basically learns that he doesn't need to be like Tony Stark, he just needs to be Spider-Man. And I really dislike the fact that they try to illustrate this point by literally homaging a scene to Iron Man. Like, Peter's making his suit, and Happy plays AC/DC. And I really dislike the way they do that scene because by saying don't be like Iron Man, be your own man, but then having Peter make his suit listening to AC/DC is basically contradicting your message of the film. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much of this video just talking about why I dislike MCU Spider-Man because I do think there's a lot of good. And it's a video in the future that I want to make where I want to sort of assess the pros and cons of Tom Holland's Spider-Man because there is a lot of good. But there is also a lot of bad as well. But yes, also apparently Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone are going to appear as both Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy from their respective franchises, which I'm excited for, because if we get Emma Stone as, like, Spider-Gwen, I'd love that, because, I mean, I love Emma Stone, I really like Spider-Gwen, I just want to see that in live action, you know? Because, I mean, Emma Stone is awesome, and just live action Spider-Gwen would be cool. And I'd also like to see how they progress Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire's Peter and MJ. I mean, hopefully they do get married. I think that would just make sense. And I would want them to be at a point where they're stable in their marriage. Maybe do the thing in Spider-Verse, like in Into the Spider-Verse, where Peter B and Mary Jane split up because they want to have a child. But don't have Peter and Mary Jane, don't have Tobey and Kirsten split up. Just have them, you know, have that little conflict of, oh, we want kids, but Peter's just like, I'm not ready for kids. I think that'd be interesting. See, having Tobey and Andrew in the film would be really interesting because, you know, I want to see where they're at in their careers. Like, I'd like for Tobey to be the high school teacher or, like, the college professor version of Spider-Man, because I think that just, it fits, you know, his Spider-Man. And I think with Andrew, you know, especially what we saw with him in Dr. Connors and Amazing Spider-Man 1, I think it'd be really cool to have Andrew be like the scientist working at Horizon Labs or like at Oscorp or something, but have him be like an actual scientist. Like, I think that would be really cool. And also, when they're all, you know, suited up as Spider-Man, I want to see Tobey in the classic Raimi suit, and I want to see Andrew in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. I know some people want Andrew to appear in the first Amazing Spider-Man suit, but to me, Andrew's moved on from that suit. Like, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit is his suit. Also, like, it's the best live-action Spider-Man suit, so, like, why would I not want to see that in live action? My only concern is that the suits are going to look awful because John Watts doesn't know how to make the Spider-Man suits look good because he keeps plastering it in CGI and just... That's my one big concern with, like, the other Spider-Man showing up is that, like, John Watts won't know how to actually film them. Also, I just want to add, I think it's really interesting that John Watts is going to be directing Fantastic Four because I think, as a director, he can handle the 60s style sensibility and update it into the modern day. My only concern is the action, because I just think John Watts as a director cannot do action. And that's also another concern to me, is that by having the other Spider-Men who are distinctly more agile and more athletic and more, dynamic than Tom Spider-Man, I think that John Watts could water them down with his directing style because he just doesn't know how to do the action. And that just has me really concerned, because the way John Watts directs action in the Spider-Man films is that he just has Spider-Man, bumble about and bump into things and, shoot some webs occasionally, but he'll just keep bumping into stuff and just... It's not as dynamic as the Raimi and Webb stuff. Also, supposedly, Charlie Cox is rumored to appear as Matt Murdock, attorney at law, to defend Peter Parker to wrap up the ending of Spider-Man Far From Home, where, his identity was revealed to the world. If that's the case, and Charlie Cox is back, yes! We won! We saved Daredevil! Yes! Because Kevin Feige is going to, see the popularity of Charlie Cox as Daredevil. He's going to either give him a new movie, he's going to give him a Disney Plus series. It depends on how violent Moon Knight is going to be. But if Moon Knight is successful and is somewhat, violent in the vein of, The Dark Knight, then yes, we saved Daredevil. But also, I'm glad that they're actually going to wrap up the ending of Far From Home, because that's one of the things I was disappointed with about Far From Home, where it opened up and May was completely fine with him being Spider-Man, even though it contradicts Homecoming, where, Peter said if May ever found out, she would freak out, and at the end, she's like, what the fuck? And, you would think that, she wouldn't support him being Spider-Man, but I digress. I'm gonna hold back the Far From Home slander for now. But yeah, I'm glad they're actually going to address it, and it might not be a simple quick fix. Even though it's a really quick fix, you just have a Skrull dress up as Spider-Man and have Peter in the same room, or have Peter be Spider-Man and the Skrull be Peter, and just have, Spider-Man swing by. It's a really simple quick fix. Now, Doctor Strange is also in the film, which is interesting, because Kevin Feige said that this film is part of a 3-story arc between WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So, this film is important. And because he said that, it's kind of implying that this is a Spider-Verse film. Because, 3 somewhat multiversal related films all connect and then culminate in the Multiverse of Madness. It has to be. It has to mean that this is a multiverse film. But I also think another reason why Doctor Strange is in the film is that Doctor Strange and Peter are going to make an agreement where Peter, asks Doctor Strange to do what he does in the Dan Slott era of comics, where he goes to Doctor Strange and he's like, hey, Doc, can you please, make everyone forget I'm Spider-Man? And Doctor Strange is just like, yeah, okay, boom, spell. But I do think it's not going to be as easy as Peter just going to Doctor Strange and asking for help. I think he's going to have to earn it. And by doing so, I think he's going to need the help of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So I think that this film has the potential to be really great, but it also has the potential to be really messy and really unfocused. Because if it's done well, and it is this big, epic, multiversal scale story where Peter has to, hop from dimensions and meet Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and, he's got to, fight the Sinister Six, because apparently Kraven's rumored to be in this film as well, and so it's, Scorpion and, every villain ever. Apparently they're all supposed to come back and, be, the multiversal Sinister Six, which I do think is kind of lazy that, they didn't set up a proper MCU Sinister Six. They're, getting characters from, other franchises and just, bringing them all together to get, one big Sinister Six, finally. I do find that to be lazy, but if it's done well, it could work. One of the rumors that I really don't like is that, Willem Dafoe is supposed to come back as the Green Goblin, and he's going to be the MCU Norman Osborn. I don't want that, because just get another actor. I think J.K. Simmons was an exception, because everyone loves J.K. Simmons and they just wanted to see him more in the role. And don't get me wrong, I love Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn on the Green Goblin, but I just want to see a new take on it. I don't want to just see Dafoe, but in the MCU. I want to see a new Norman Osborn. Get Giancarlo Esposito or, Bryan Cranston or Matthew Mahoney. Just get someone different. It's that thing of Hollywood right now, isn't it? Where, they're trying to bank on nostalgia, so they have to get things that people recognize and use that to make the new thing sell. And that's kind of how I feel about this third Spider-Man film. We can't, rely on the success of Endgame to sell a new Spider-Man film, like Far From Home did. So we're gonna get the things that people love, aka Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and we're gonna bring them back and put them in this film. We're gonna bank off the hype of Spider-Verse now, and I don't love that. But like I said, it could be fantastic, it could be amazing, it could be the worst thing ever, who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel in the whole Spider-Man 3 situation right now. I mean, I'm just gonna wait for official confirmation for anything, because the rumor mill is going crazy, yeah, it's just mad. But I do want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe and all the good stuff. Hit the notification bell down there as well, stay notified. My social media links are also down in the description, so if you give those a look and a follow, that'd be very much appreciated. I have a second channel where I make short films and vlogs, so if you give those a look and give me some feedback, that'd be very much appreciated. And until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time.